The Heart Attack Pack are back. That loss in Pittsburgh was a bit of a heartbreaker, to be sure, and we'll talk about it. But the Packers are also getting ready for the Chargers to come to Lambeau Field, and we're going to talk about that as well. It's all coming up on your Packers Fan Podcast.
What's happening, Packers Fan Podcast listeners? I'm Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider Podcast, and it's shaping up to be a really long second half of the season. Or maybe not. Looking at the schedule, looks pretty good, actually. As depressed as I am about the outcome this week, I still bleed green and gold till I'm dead and cold, and nothing will ever change that.
Great to hear, and glad to see you here again. I'm Wayne Henderson, and although we might have to hear it said sometime in the next month or so, I admit I'm nowhere near ready to hear if we end up being out of playoff contention at some point. This is the 285th edition of your Packers Fan Podcast. We want to relive all the excitement from the game against the Steelers. And as always, dear listeners, you had some great feedback. Thank you so much. We're going to be sharing that in just a bit.
Then as the Packers come to Lambeau Field to host the Chargers, we need to preview the action. And I've got some keys to a Packers victory, and I think you guys might be excited by them. So, well, let's get right into it and talk about some of the highlights from the Packers' loss over the Steelers. There actually were some highlights there. Starting off with the Packers' leaders in the Steelers game. First off, Jordan Love, 21 for 40 and 289 yards. He had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. A.J. Dillon, 9 carries for 70 yards. And Jaden Reed, the top receiver, for 5 receptions that totaled 84 yards. I think one of the big things that we're not talking about is Keyshawn Nixon. He had 5 kick returns for 139 yards, with one of them being 49 yards. That was awesome. I know there's some not so great things in here. I think the big standout is Jordan Love's accuracy at 21 out of 40. That could be better, but still 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. And yes, 2 interceptions, but I don't think that first one was his fault. It hit the receiver, hit the defender, and then just fell into the hands of another defender, which was brutal. And that second one, it was the game losing interception, if you will. What else is he going to do? I mean, kudos to the Steelers for the way they defended that play. You could see it when the play started. They had 5 defenders or cornerbacks or safeties, whatever, right in the end zone because they knew that was the only place they could go to. So it was a very smart way to defend that. There was just simply no place for him to go, and he ran out of luck there.
It almost happened. Almost. It was an excellent start to the game, although we did let the Steelers march right down on the opening drive and get a fairly easy touchdown. But amazingly, this we have not seen, I don't think, all season. We answered with a long drive of our own, ending with a touchdown pass to Romeo Doubs in the corner of the end zone. 2 touchdowns in the first half. Things are getting better every week.
Yes, it was really cool to see that. Love him going to different receivers. He's not throwing to the same receivers often, which was something that we praised Aaron Rodgers for doing. So I think he's following in that shadow quite well. And as a silver lining, I know this is a loss, but the Packers outgained the Steelers in yardage. The Packers had a total of 405 yards. The Steelers had a total of only 331. That's a difference of 74 yards.
Amazing.
So this was not a poorly played game. We had some issues, obviously, that we'll get to, but they fought like crazy, and they totally could have won this game. Unfortunately, this has been Pittsburgh's MO all season. They just figure out ways to win games, even though that they lose the attack game. You know what I mean? They just somehow come out on top, and they nearly did not come out on top, but a couple of things just did not go in our favor there. But it was still good to see them out-yard the Steelers this game.
And speaking of things that were good to see, Scott, it was great to see more of Jordan Love's passes, especially the long balls, being on target this week. It was also good to see us sticking with the running attempts, even when they weren't necessarily working. We couldn't get Aaron Jones into a groove for quite a while, but it seemed like we weren't giving up, at least not as early as we normally do. And you touched on all the different receivers getting the ball thrown their way. So some of them are going to work out, that's for sure.
I feel like we saw more performance out of Dillon than we did Jones this week. I mean, I know Jones is our go-to guy, but Dillon had a 40-yard run, which was awesome to see. I'm not used to seeing Dillon going for those long distances. He's kind of the up the gut, runner in our back there. But he did an awesome job, and I do like seeing how they are running the ball more. It's good to see. I think it was all around a decently rounded game in terms of spreading the ball around between receivers and running backs. Like I said, I'm not angry at this game. I mean, obviously I want the win, but overall I'm not upset with the team like I am with some of the other losses they've had in the past. Does that make sense?
It does. It does indeed, Scott.
And speaking of the long passes, there was a really awesome one that Love had to Jaden Reed for 6. It was just absolutely beautiful. It was a 35-yard pass, perfectly timed, beautiful arc, right where it needed to be. That's the kind of on-target passes we need to see from Love, and I hope we get more of those in the future.
I'll take them. Any other highlights before we have to address the elephants in the room?
Well, yeah, I mean, the big one is that there were no new injuries this week, which I feel like it's the first time I've been able to say that in a long time. There was nobody that was knocked out of this game. Maybe it's because we're just run out of players to get knocked out. But, we were obviously out a couple players this week, one of them being Jair Alexander. It's still unclear as to whether or not he's going to be back for the Chargers game, but it's looking like this week could be one of the healthier weeks we've got from our team. So fingers crossed it could be a good week for us.
Yeah, because our defense let Pittsburgh run amok pretty much all day. But without Jair Alexander and without Quay Walker, really, Scott, it was hard to expect very much. And in the second quarter, how about that fantastic fumble recovery on the backwards pass from the Steelers? Oh, that's right. The referees blew the call. And even after Coach LaFleur threw the challenge flag and they all looked at it for a few more minutes, they still blew the call and made the incorrect ruling on that play that should have been a touchdown for us. I know I sound like that guy, but facts are facts.
You know, it's funny. I was doing the prep for this episode. This is a little inside football, I guess, if you will.
Ooh, inside football.
About the way that we do this, but we have a little prep document that we put together. And I put this together and I was like, wow, Wayne didn't put that on the format. I'm shocked that Wayne didn't put that on there. You did. I just totally missed it. It wasn't like one of the main headings. You sneaked it in there. But yes, I don't get this one, man. There was, you know how they always have the guy that's like the expert that comes in and says, oh, there's no clear evidence that this was a backwards pass. I don't know how else that could have been anything but a backwards pass. I'm sorry, that was a blown call. That should have been our ball. It would have put us in scoring position like on the 20. That was incredibly frustrating to see because, again, who knows what would have happened. Maybe we would have settled for a field goal. I mean, we were in field goal range. You know, I mean, that could have turned the tides of the game in a way that would have won the game for us. But again, that's speculation. Who knows what would have happened, but that made me really, really angry.
You were not alone, Mr. Clark. Not alone at all. I do have a question that comes to mind because it kept popping in my head throughout the game. Why, when we have the ball, why does it always seem like it's third down?
Yeah, and why does it always feel like we're passing on third down? I mean, it seriously seems like we're running the same formula every series. I made this comment to my wife while we were playing it. It's like first down, we run the ball. Second down, we run the ball. Third down and short, we're going to pass. Like, you made it 4 yards with the last 2. Let's go ahead and run it again. But no, we're going to pass a deep ball. And why? I just don't get it. Why? Why?
And with as many third downs that it appears that we have, why?
I think the stat was 10 for 19 for third and fourth down conversions this game.
Oh.
Which, number one, why do we have that many third and fourth down conversions? But on top of that, why are we not converting him? It's just very frustrating. Also, the missed point after touchdown by Carlson was an incredible bummer. We instead were forced to get into the end zone on that final drive. If we had actually hit that PAT, a field goal would have tied the game and we were within range. I would have much rather had overtime than a game over with a game-losing interception that we were forced to pass the ball there. We could have kicked the ball and tied the game and let's see what happens. But I don't know. More often than not, we are shooting ourselves in the foot and it's getting aggravating.
And for the most part, Anders Carlson has been perfect. But
yeah, on a PAT, though.
That's when you least expect it. So that's when you have to expect it. Very
Yeah,
unfortunate.
exactly.
I'm surprised that right before that extra point kick, they didn't make some comment or show some advanced stat showing the probability of this being made is about 99.9%. And then away it goes.
Well, that's what we thought about the game, the highlights and the lowlights. We want to talk about what the listeners said. If you'd like to be part of our upcoming podcast episodes, you can either record your voice on your phone or computer and email the recording to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. And you can also call the PFP voicemail at +1 920 3PACK-GO. As always, the deadline for your calls is Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Remember to include your best Go Pack Goes for us to use as part of the new Packers Fan Podcast community outro Wayne is putting together. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully I can record one this weekend with some people as well, but we'll get to that. Also, feel free to send us an audio message with just some great Go Pack Goes, because we can definitely use those as well. As is tradition, we got to hear from Captain Pack Sparrow, so let's see what he has to say about this game.
Go, 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 Pack, go! Yes, that is what I'm talking about. Yes, we came away with the loss, but this game was actually enjoyable to watch, and you could actually see the progress that's being made instead of the momentum going in our direction, and then you get a penalty, and then you get a turnover, or something of that nature that just stops your momentum, and you really can't see what's going on with the team. You know, are there strides being made in improvement? I mean, statistically, we won in nearly every single category if you look at the box score, except for the actual score. Once again, the youth showed up with the drops, and other costly drops. Jones had one. I think Wicks had one. And, of course, Watson had his drop that turned into an interception. And then he was targeted there at the end of the game, even though Romeo Doubs was clearly wide open. Again, love throwing into double coverage. But going back to what I said last week, maybe Watson just isn't ready for the NFL. I don't know if his body can take it. And he's not making the progress I think that we would all like to see him make. He's fast, he's tall, he can jump high. But right now, in my opinion, he is not a number one at all. His hands are questionable. He doesn't seem to fight for the ball. His jumps to catch passes don't appear to be timed very well. And I just saw this stat today. He's only caught 42% of the passes thrown to him. That is the lowest in the NFL of all wide receivers who have been targeted at least 30 times. He has the worst catch rate in the NFL of wide receivers who have been targeted at least 30 times. Let that sink in for a second. You know, and just to add more to that idea or that stat, there are 126 wide receivers who have had at least 30 targets. You know, and that might be because he went to a smaller school. I think it was North Dakota State University, and he didn't see the kind of NFL caliber players, playing for that team like a lot of other players do, like the Jaden Reed or Dubs or Wicks, all these other guys that are actually making these great, spectacular plays, really fighting for the ball. You know, I'm not ready to throw in the flag on old Mr. Watson, but maybe he's like a Devontae Adams. If you remember right, the first 2 to 3 years of Devontae Adams' career, he wasn't doing very good. I think he led the league in drops during his second year in the NFL. Now, here's a stat that everybody should be happy to hear. If I were to tell you that Jordan Love was currently the number 9 quarterback in passing, would you believe me? Well, he is. He is the number 9 leading passer as far as yards. That's pretty good, especially since he's only completing about 50 to 55% of his throws. But it's something to build on, and he was looking pretty good. Again, he's got all these young receivers. He's young himself as a starter. I expected him to be a little further along, but, at least like I said earlier in the voicemail, that the team overall seems to be improving. Defense didn't do so great yesterday, obviously. They just let Warren just run all over them. And the Pittsburgh defense, good Lord. We went 1 for 5 in the red zone. That is terrible. You can't expect to win games if you're going 1 for 5 in the red zone. it's just not going to happen. And, the fact that we were as close as we were and it came down to the last play is pretty good. It looks like Pittsburgh is this year's Minnesota Vikings going back to last year. Last year, the Vikings were winning all these crazy, one-score games. This victory that the Steelers got from us and they stole from us, that's their 6th straight game that they've won with less than a one-score advantage. Now we look ahead to next week. We got the Chargers. The next 3 weeks, by the way, they're going to be pretty hard. They got the Chargers, then the Lions, who we saw those two teams play each other yesterday. They both scored nearly 40 points. In fact, I think the Lions scored 41. Chargers had 38. And then after the Lions, then we have the Chiefs. So it's just going to be it's a hard 3-game stretch. But I will say you won't get better by being challenged. You don't get better when you're not challenged. So I'm looking forward to seeing more growth from our team. And again, like I said a couple weeks ago, going to the Chargers game, I just saw this week, Scott's going up there. I think Alex Bartman's going up there. You got a few other PFP people going to this game next Sunday. I can't wait to meet up with you guys. This is going to be awesome. Can't wait. And before I forget, I want to wish all my fellow veterans out there, I hope you guys had a great Veterans Day on Saturday. Thank you for your service and all that you do. Go, 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 Pack, go! Boom, shakalaka.
You added something new at the end there. Love it, Dan. Absolutely love it. Thanks so much for the call, dude. He made 2 big points that I neglected to add to the positives and negatives of this past game. The first was that this was a fun game to watch. I 100% agree. I feel like we were in it the entire game. There was never a point where I felt like we were down and out. We were down by 2 scores at one point, but that was when the Jaden Reed touchdown came in, and we were back in it, and just felt it was enjoyable. It had its ups and downs, but it was a lot of fun. And even though I would have liked the outcome to be better, it was an enjoyable game. And the other negative that I didn't talk about was the drops. Holy cow, there were so many drops. Just neat, like how are you paid in the NFL to do this? I was not aware of this stat that Watson is the lowest receiver in terms of percentage catches. That is ridiculous. I'm with you, dude. I don't think he's a WR1. I feel like I trust Dobbs. Hell, I trust Musgrave more than Watson at this point.
Reed.
Where was he? And Reed, yeah. He's got a lot of weapons there. They're young, but they're growing, except Watson doesn't seem to be growing. The thing that with him is that he always winds up with some clutch play that puts him back in our good graces. But we need the consistency in those not so big plays, because and he should also not be Mr. Glass. Like, come on, you're in the NFL, dude. You're getting paid the big bucks for a reason.
And maybe, like Dan said, this is all shades of Devontae Adams' first couple of years. I don't remember the details behind the play, but I remember in Devontae's first or second year, we were at a big family gathering and watching the game, and people are like, I don't know about this Devontae guy. I don't think he's going to make it. And I'm like, hang in there. Just hang in there.
Well, fingers crossed, man. Any given Sunday.
And Dan, thank you for your service as well as a veteran. Good Veterans Weekend. And Dan's going to the game. Alex, Scott, I expect pictures, videos, who knows, whatever you have time for. I know that once you get to the game and you get in the action in the crowds, you lose track of everything. But
oh yeah, we're hoping to meet up. I've already hooked up with Alex Bartman. We've exchanged numbers. I think I have Dan's number already. If not, we'll definitely be doing that. If anybody else is going, please hit me up. I want to meet you guys in person. I only get to go to like 1 game per year, if that. Anybody else, please let me know. Scott Boers, Megan, anybody, please. Even if you can't go to the game, at least like come have a beer or something in a parking lot with us, because I'm sure we'll be doing some tailgating beforehand. So I'm going to be on Thanksgiving break officially, so I don't have to go to work on Monday.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I have to drive home still. I drew my wife and I are going together. She's driving up, but I have to drive back. So I have to, sober up during the game so that I can get us back to Rockford. But really looking forward to it, and looking forward to actually, this will be the first time I get to go to a game with Dan and with Alex and anybody from the Packers Fan Podcast community outside of Troy. I've obviously been to games with Troy before, but looking forward to go with some listeners. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Jay Walters goes to a lot of games.
Yeah.
Jay?
If you're listening, Jay, come on, let's do it.
All right. Back to the listener line at +1 920 3-PACK-GO.
Hey guys, it's Mark from Lisbon. Sorry I haven't called in a while, but overall I think most Packer fans are encouraged by what's happened the last 2 weeks. It was a tough loss, obviously. But the main positive I thought was our offense is just so much better. We had that stretch of games where, we couldn't score in the first half, so we were better in the first half. We were also better in the red zone, but we still need to improve there, especially at the end of games. And also we were better on third down. We were 8 for 16 on third down, and that's 50%. I think most fans would take that every game. You don't have to blame anybody, but I thought our defense, we did some good things, but Pittsburgh's offensive line just pushed us around all day. And I think they ran for over 200 yards. So we need to fix that. Overall, I just think there's so many positive things about this team. Our receiving group, it seems like everybody's getting better, except maybe Watson. Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed and Dobbs and Musgrave, they're all getting better. And just the upside on all those guys is just huge. So, and Jordan Love, I think he played one of his better games, but he seems to get into trouble when he tries to throw to Christian Watson at the end of games. It just never seems to work out with those two. But I still have a lot of faith in Watson. I think he's a great athlete. He just has to become a better football player. So let's go back to Lambeau and have a good game against those always tough San Diego Chargers. Thanks for taking my call. It's a great podcast. Keep up the good work. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go indeed, Mark. Thank you so much for calling that in. It's always great to hear from you, and thank you for all of the kind words about the podcast and everything. And yeah, I don't know what the secret is to fixing our run defense other than get Quay Walker back and Jair Alexander and anyone else that's out injured would especially be nice. But yeah, I do think our offense is getting better, especially in the first half. What do you think, Scott?
I do agree. It's getting better in the first half. I don't know if I agree with him that we're getting better in the red zone. Didn't Dan just say that we were 1 for 5 in the red zone?
I think he said we're getting better on third downs, 50%.
Third down, I don't know if I mean, if that's better, sure, that's better. But man, that's still not good. 50%
You're shooting for 100, right? 100.
I don't know. The 50% does not seem like a good thing for third downs. I am so tired of third downs. I'm so sick of being on third down. It's ridiculous.
We need to get a first down by second down at the latest, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
Of course, our punter's going to get really bored, but
yeah, that's fine. They can be bored all they want. I don't have a problem throwing money at them to sit on the bench. That's completely fine by me. They need to fix he's right that they need to fix our run defense. Harris just ran all over us yesterday. I think it was over 200 yards rushing that he had, or not him, but the team had over 200 yards rushing. That's ridiculous. That hole needs to be fixed up for sure.
Come back soon. Come back soon, all of our injured players, please. Now, we're going to check in with Megan here, and she tried something a little different this week, so you're going to notice a shift in the sound quality at about the 45-second marker, though, something like that. She called in, and then she had more to say, but she decided to send it from her phone to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com, and it's incredible to hear the difference. It's really, really cool. Thank you, Megan, for putting that together. I want to thank you in advance. Now, let's hear what she has to say.
Go, Pack, go! This is Megan. It is Sunday night. We started off pretty explosively. I was very impressed with they ran all over us and ran down the field when they had the ball, and then we kind of came right back and scored. I thought that was great. We did move the ball pretty well. I thought Love played a good game. Granted, the ending was far too familiar.
I was wondering what people thought about A.J. Dillon in that run. I was thought it was really awesome that he had the chance to run the ball the way he did. I thought he was going to break free for the touchdown. And then I kind of think that he thought he did too. I should go back and watch the replay. But did it seem like he started to run? You know how they kind of run like they for sure have it. So they just kind of I don't even know how to explain it in words, but he just ran differently. He was so confident that he had it, but then he didn't. And I kind of was wishing he would have just run straight through, when you're playing baseball and you run through first base. You don't run to the base, you run through the base. And I wish that he would have just kept running normally and at a normal rhythm. It just seemed like that he started to run differently. And I just kind of thought it was because he thought he had it in the bag and he didn't. And I mean, that's neither here nor there, but I just found it interesting, and I wondered if anybody else noticed that. I know Keyshawn Nixon had at least one penalty, but in general, he played very well. I thought his return game was fun to watch today, and it's fun to watch him on defense, too. I wish that he had that. I think it was, don't quote me on this, I think it was a pick, but it was out of bounds. Or would have been a pick. That would have been pretty sweet for him. And then the announcers were talking about he obviously isn't a receiver because he didn't drag his feet or something like that. But he's just been really fun to watch. I noticed fewer penalties. I don't know if it was just me, but I felt like there were fewer penalties, fewer just stalls throughout the game for flags constantly being thrown. That was pleasant to see. Or not see, I guess, however you want to put it. But it seemed like they've cleaned up their game a little bit, maybe just playing with a little bit more discipline. And then also the blocked field goal was just kind of lame. That was a complete roller coaster of a drive. And then ending like that was just kind of the icing on the cake for that roller coaster. But I was just impressed with the guys' ability to come back or to play the game the way they did. And they don't give up. They really don't. I know it's challenging to watch them not win, but they fight till the end. I mean, the very last drive was kind of painful just because it was there's not a lot of time, and I felt like if they had there was one moment, I don't know who it was, if it was Reed or someone, and I felt like they wasted time because they weren't out of bounds. Didn't go out of bounds, and so the clock kept going, and then they just lost time. It's fun to see them continue to try to put something together week after week, and for sure incorporate the run game more than they have prior this season. Aaron Jones must just be feeling better, and it's fun to watch A.J. Dillon get some action too. Always a Packer fan, regardless of the score, always going to watch the games. Until the very end, it was a little bit of just shake my head like you've got to be kidding me when Jordan threw that pick at the very end. But it is what it is. On to the next game. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go indeed. Megan and Megan version 2.0. It's great to hear from both of you. Seriously, I sound like a completely different person almost. I'm so used to hearing her on the phone, but great to hear from you. I don't know. I'm not seeing what you were saying about the A.J. Dillon run seeming odd to you. I think it's just odd to see him run that long, because he's more of a power runner than he is a speed runner. So for him to get a 40-yard carry is the odd part of that to me. It was almost like the defense was like, well, this is A.J. Dillon. He's not going to go. He's not going to go the distance, and he went the distance. So, I'm with you on the props to Keyshawn Nixon, not only on special teams but on defense as well. And the big news was the fewer number of penalties we had this game.
Yes,
that alone kept us in contention for this game, right? I mean, if we had as many penalties as we had last week and the week before, this would not have been a close game at all. You're so right. That was the word she used was pleasant, and I think that was, yes, it's very, very pleasant to see that a little less laundry on the field.
Or like Megan said, pleasant to not see it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I love it.
And the Packers, they do always fight to the end. Even if we're playing from behind, we never give up. We really don't. And although some have said they want to see a little more fire out of Jordan Love now and then, in other ways, it's also cool to see him just being Joe Cool. He never panics.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that final drive, there were a couple of plays. One, I think, was even Aaron Jones, where they just turned the wrong way. Time ticked away too fast.
Why are you not going out of bounds, dude? I was yelling at the TV.
Again?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So good, Megan. Great to hear from you twice and putting it together. We'll see what happens after this next game. Chargers are coming to town, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But we did receive an email. Hey, Wayne and Scott, this is CCR from Green Bay, Wisconsin. What a disgusting game we had. So many opportunities, and we still couldn't do anything with the ball. I really hate to say this, but I'm thinking it's time to see what Sean Clifford can do for our team. It's getting exhausting watching how we're moving the ball, then we can't do anything except throw interceptions. And why not work on the running game this week? We did last week, but this week we couldn't move the ball down the field, just run the ball, and then we'd pass the ball. I apologize for the negativity in this email. Hopefully we can get back into the winning category soon. Until next week, Packers Nation, go Pack, go. Bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher. And calling for Sean Clifford. And I believe in the Facebook group, Caleb, you even called for getting rid of Joe Barry and maybe a lot of other members of the squad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if disgusting is the word I would use to describe this game. Yes, it's disgusting anytime we lose. But I still think that this was one of the more solid performances by the team overall. Again, like I said, there were two interceptions that were brutal. I don't think that one of them was, like I mentioned, was his fault, and the other one was, what else are you going to do with that defense? There's just not much that you could do there. Everything else, I was pretty okay with. Would I like to see more of the running game? Yes. Would I like to see more completions from Jordan Love, percentage-wise? Absolutely. Would I like to see fewer third downs? Would I like to see more third down conversions? Yes. But I think this is a step in the right direction, and I think that I don't know. It's weird. I'm usually the more pessimistic one between me and Wayne, and I feel like I'm the one that's like, hey, this was a decent game. Like this is one of the more satisfying losses we've had in a while. We've had some other losses where I was like, we totally should have won that game. We kind of got screwed out of that on penalties and bad calls. We could have won this game. We outran and outpassed the Steelers, and we totally could have won this game. So I'm looking at this game as more positive, even though it was a loss.
And, of course, remember my rose-colored glasses were destroyed during that loss a couple of weeks ago. They just flew off my head, banged off the fridge, and landed on the tile floor. I don't know. But at the same time, I appreciate that we are trying to run the ball. I just think the Steelers' defense was onto us. We just couldn't get through them, except for on that one beautiful play by A.J. Dillon where he really ran crazy. So keep after it, guys. We'll get there. Now, let's check in with our weekly poll question that we post in the Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com, as well as on Twitter X, where you can find us at Packers Fan Pod. Want to know, what makes this loss hurt the most? Was it because we had so many opportunities? Or was it because we may have got our hopes up after last week's victory? Or did it hurt the most because of the missed extra point and the bad call on that Steelers lateral? Or was it because the Vikes and Bears also won that day, and the Lions too? So everybody in our division won but us.
I mean, mine's a little bit of a combination between the two, but of the fact that we had opportunities and also the missed point and the bad call. But I do want to mention that with the Vikings and the Bears winning, guys, we have the same number of wins as the Chicago Bears right now, and that is unacceptable. We're technically ahead of them because they have one more loss than us because of the bye situation, but I cannot live. I can live with not winning the division, okay? I've pretty much accepted that fact. I cannot accept having a similar record to the Chicago Bears right now. That just is not going to be acceptable because of where I live. Even though it's third and fourth place in the division, I'm still going to get smack talk from Bears fans in this area about, well, at least you beat the Packers. Dude, you're in third. You've got 3 wins. Come on. This is not the time to be talking trash. But yes, I think the bigger one for me, if I had to pick one, is going to be the missed extra point and the bad call. I'm not the one to blame a game on a ref, but that one hurt. That one really, really hurt because it would have put us in scoring position, and the missed extra point as well, which could have allowed us to kick a field goal instead of having to pass on fourth down to lose the game. I would have felt much more comfortable with that. So I think that one hurts the most for me. What about you?
I'm going to go with that same one, Scott.
Yeah.
That one I really think is the difference and really makes it hurt. But the voters who spoke up, and then we combined the votes from Twitter, X, as well as Facebook, 59% of the voters said that it hurts the most because of the missed opportunities all the way around. And then 33% went with the missed extra point, the bad call on the Steelers lateral. 2%, it hurts because they got their hopes up from last week, and I can relate. Another 2% went with because the Vikes and Bears, and also then later in the day, the Lions, all won. And we did have a write-in vote that brought in that remaining 4%, a write-in vote of all of the above.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to argue with that, yeah. But if I had to pick one, it would definitely be the missed extra point in that bad call. But we had some comments on the poll in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook group, and I encourage everybody to go there. Some great conversations going there. First off, David Newman said, Aaron Jones is the veteran and has 2 drops at important times. Yeah.
Shocking.
Love was doing such a good job over the past couple weeks with fundamental throws, but this week he's back to off balance and sidearms. He needs to quit anticipating that his guys will be open. They do not create separation. Speed does not guarantee being open. That's a solid point. And I think that's a big reason why he's been so inaccurate with a deep ball. But a lot of that too is, in the past he's been underthrowing and overthrowing. He found the sweet spot a little bit this week. I hope that improves in the coming weeks.
Also in the Facebook group, Joe Christensen says, does it help to think of this year as one long preseason for next year?
Sure. Yeah, let's go with that. That's a pretty long preseason.
It's a different outlook. I appreciate it. And on Twitter X, Mark from the band says it hurts the most because he knows it's not going to get better. Ouch. It's going to get better.
I think it's going to get better. And to Dan's point earlier, we got a rough schedule coming up. We got the Lions and we got the Chiefs. But after that, the rest of the schedule is doable, man. The rest of the schedule is totally doable. I think we could beat the Lions. I think Kansas City will be tough, but I think that the Lions are beatable. And then after that, we've got the Bears, the Vikings, which again are beatable. We got Tampa Bay. The rest of the schedule is escaping me. Oh, Carolina is in there. So, we definitely have some room that we can make some. I'm not down and out yet, man. I mean, you know me, Mr. Positivity here.
That's right.
But, and the New York Giants? The Giants. I mean, come on. If we can't beat the Giants and the Bucks and the Panthers, that should be a 3-in-a-row week for us. Put us right back in there. If the stars align and we get the right losses that we need, I think it could totally happen. So, yeah. Schedule is going to be in our favor.
I haven't looked much past those next 3 games just because they're going to be tough. Everybody's beatable, but such as it is.
Yeah. All right, there are some great conversations happening over in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook group right now. You can check them all out and join us, especially for our live game chat section.
Yes, and that's all because your calls, comments, and emails, all of your support, it's very important to the Packers Fan Podcast, and we thank you. And remember, especially for game days with our live discussion during the game, go to packerscommunity.com. Now, L.A. is coming to town. No, not the Rams again. This time the L.A. Chargers, because you're 3-6. Boy, that hurts to say, Scott. Your 3-6 Green Bay Packers are back at home, hosting the 4-5 LA Chargers Sunday, November 19th at 12 noon Central. The Packers lead this series 10 wins to 2 losses. I love that. We don't play them very often, that's for sure, just looking at that. And
12 games.
Yeah, I know, and it goes all the way back to October 12th, 1970, just about 5 months after the Beatles' final album, Let It Be, was released. And that game was in San Diego. The Packers won 22-20. I don't know why we couldn't beat them by more, but it is what it is. My favorite memory, though, between these two teams was the first Packers game that I took my whole family to. Big moment. The kids were old enough. Let's take them to a Packers game. It was October 24th, 1999 in San Diego. Eric Kramer of the Chargers threw 3 interceptions to the Packers, then got benched. Chargers put in Jim Harbaugh. Yep, Jim Harbaugh. And his first pass that day was an interception to us as well. And then Jim threw 2 more picks to us. It looked so easy. Packers fans took over at least a third of the stadium. And then speaking of thirds, by the third quarter, most Chargers fans left, leaving Qualcomm Stadium to us Packers faithful. It was a glorious day all around, wrapping it up with Favre and the Packers obliterating the Chargers in San Diego, 31-3. And you can see fuzzy highlights of that game on YouTube. It's just 31-3 would be fantastic. And 6 picks. That was so much fun to watch, Scott. Let me tell you.
I'll bet, man. 6 interceptions. That's just nuts. That just seems like a really fun game to watch for sure. I don't have a memory off the top of my head, but I'm just going to say I'm hoping that this weekend will be my most memorable Packers-Chargers game because I'm actually going to be there, and I'm going to be there with some other fellow PFP listeners. So looking forward to meeting up with them for a photo op and a video recording of some Go Pack Goes with some great friends. I really can't wait for it.
We'll be looking for you on the tube. This Sunday's weather at Lambeau is going to be partly cloudy, like a lot of them have been lately. Slight chance of rain in the early evening, about 49 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff, about 9 degrees Celsius. So you won't have to layer up for this one.
No layering up, but definitely going to bring a rain poncho just in case. But I will just be sporting regular fall weather clothing at this point. So I'm not going to have to do my 15 layers of clothes at this point.
Gotcha.
All right, Wayne. Are you ready for some keys to a Packers victory over the Chargers?
I sure am. Let me give you a Go Pack Go.
All right. My number one strategy, it is time for the defense to shine. I know that is, kind of a pat answer, but the Chargers are favored on the road because of their powerful offense. Hey, they scored 38 points in their loss to the Lions. In fact, they haven't scored fewer than 27 points in 3 weeks, so they're definitely on a roll. The name of the game has to be 3 and out. It's that simple. 3 and out to get them, stop them in their tracks. Snap that streak of all those points. Second strategy, it's time to focus on the pass. I know I've said numerous times that the Packers are a running team, but this week the game is actually going to be in Jordan Love's hands. The Chargers allowed 333 passing yards last week, so the green and gold need to exploit that weakness, especially since Love's deep ball looked a little bit better this week. So yeah, I'm actually going to call that we need to pass the ball more this week because that's going to be the name of the game. And lastly, tighten up the red zone. This aspect of the Packers offense could really win them more games. Not only this past week, but the previous weeks as well. They could have totally won those games for us. They're struggling to close the deal on those near end zone drives, and that should be the focus this week of how to get the ball in the paint more times than not. It should be a lot easier this week with the Chargers defense not doing them any favors, and I think this could be a breakout week for Jordan Love and his young crew to have a season best number of TDs. So I think that's what's going to take to win this game.
Whoa. This is like a whole different set of customized keys to victory. I mean, focus on the pass, changing it up.
I think they really need to focus on the pass this week, man. That pass defense is Swiss cheese, and they should totally take advantage of that for sure.
All right, so you get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. Everybody gets a Jordan Love touchdown.
Just going to totally Oprah Winfrey that. I like it.
Okay.
Our 2023 season wager of fun. Last week, I predicted that I almost said the Pirates. The Steelers were going to win 23-14. I had a differential of 5 points. I know that wasn't necessary because Wayne did pick them to win, but I just had to throw that in there that I got the Pittsburgh score exactly right because I like it when that happens. Wayne predicted the Packers winning 17-14, so that means I get another point. I don't like that point, but I'll take it.
Have all of your victories in the wager of fun this season come off the backs of Packers losses that you predicted?
Probably.
Okay.
It's okay. But hey, still, that puts me in the lead with a score of 4-2. So you better warm up those Xbox controllers, Wayne, because I'm feeling a competition coming on because it's going to be awesome.
Because just to kind of reset the table, whoever wins between Scott and I in the wager of fun this year, we're both going to play Madden. It's going to happen. Scott will decide which version of Madden 1999 or whatever. But the loser in the Wager of Fun has to play as the Chicago Bears. I do not want that to happen. But on the other hand, since I suck at playing video games and the Bears suck, this could be a match made in heaven. It's going to be entertaining. I don't want you to
throw the game either. I don't want you to be like, oh, yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
Well, hey, and I'm also counting my chickens before they hatch because, we still got a lot of season left. I'm just praying and hoping because I need to snap that winning streak that Wayne has had for, 4 years now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's got to stop. Well, let's look and see what the listeners had. We had David Newman guessed 17-10 in favor of Pittsburgh for a total differential of 10. Actually, I'm not even going to read through all of these. The number one pick was Dan Dyler. He came pretty freaking close, man. He had a Pittsburgh 24, Green Bay 13 for a total differential of 2 points. So He was spot on with his guess. That was really good. So that means that we have a tie for first place between David Newman and Dan Dyler. They're tied with 3 wins each. Man, I thought David Newman was going to just walk away with this when he was up 3-0. But Dan Dyler has slowly crept his way up there. But second place goes to Brett Connor, who's got 1 win. So he's hot on the trail as well. So there you have it.
And depending on how tonight's Monday Night Football game goes, Brett Connor could be beating me in the Packers Fan Podcast Fantasy Football League matchup this week. We're going head-to-head.
Oh, my goodness. I'm not having a good week. This is my bye week. I feel like all of my bye players were on bye this week. So I got some catching up to do, but I need some things to happen for me to win at least 1 or 2 of my games. But anyway, let's go on to this week's prediction, and I'm going to kick things off, Wayne. Believe it or not, I am going to pick the Packers to win this game.
It's about time.
I'm going to say the Packers are going to win this game. I know that the Chargers are favored. I know the Packers are coming off of a loss, and they're not looking great, but I am feeling a little bit more hopeful. If they can play that well on the road, how well are they going to play against a really crappy defense at home? And considering the Chargers scored so many points on this game, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think I'm actually conservative with my pick, but I'm going to say Green Bay 21, Los Angeles 20. How about you?
I like that. I'm almost right there with you, and I guessed my prediction days ago. I went with Packers 20, Chargers 18. So you think the Packers could win by 1. I think Packers could win by 2. It's a blowout, Scott. It's a blowout. So now it is going to come down to points differential.
It really could. Yeah, this one will have to come out, well, if we win the game. But I think this game has the potential of getting into close to 30 points for each team as well. But I wanted to be a little bit more conservative with my pick, so I kept the numbers low.
Well, I just thought of a bonus key to victory, and that involves you and Alex and Dan and anybody else that's at the game from the Packers Fan Podcast community, putting the team on your back, raising your voices as loud as they possibly can, and just making sure that we win this game.
Absolutely. We'll do it, man.
Okay.
Let's see what the listeners said for their picks for Week 11 of the PFP Wager of Fun. Brett Connor says that the Packers are going to win 24-21. Ben Rabine says that the Packers are going to win 27-21. David Newman says the Chargers are going to reign victorious with a score of 28-20. Jay Walter says 24-20 in favor of the Packers. And so, yeah, we'll keep those guesses coming in, and we'll see who reigns victorious next week for sure.
Yes, they're going to still come in. There's a post in the Facebook community at packerscommunity.com where you can post your guesses as well. The NFC North. This has not been my favorite season of looking at the NFC North. The Lions are now 7-2, Vikings 6-4, Packers 3-6, and the Bears 3-7. So, like Scott said, we need to get a win and get some separation with the Bears so that we can watch them go down in flames with a.
And we need some Lions and Vikings losses as well.
Well, we definitely need some Vikings losses. Please, this week would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Some other happenings in the NFL that caught at least my eye this week. I know Wayne hates to talk about the Vikings. Yep. I know you really hate the purple ones, but I have to say I'm pretty impressed with Josh Dobbs' performance. He's only been with the team for 2 weeks, man. His first week, he was called in to cover for an injury and led the team to a win while learning the plays in real time. He had just joined the team. He did not know the plays and had to learn them on the spot. Pretty fantastic stuff going on there. And this week, he looked like he's been with the team all season, even running one in for 6. It's just very impressive stuff. But what's crazy is Dobbs' history with the NFL. Since being drafted in 2017, he's been passed around to 9 different teams.
Whoa, I thought it was only 2. 9?
9 teams he's been passed around since he was drafted. I'd say that Minnesota fans are pretty happy right now with what he's doing, and I think they've got a gem here with this quarterback. So I could see him starting the rest of the season. I really could.
Things are going pretty dang well for him so far, and I wonder if part of it is learning these plays on the fly and everything. Maybe Minnesota's playbook is lacking in creativity, like ours has been accused of being sometimes this season.
Yeah.
But anyway, also, it's time for the ESPN's far too early analytics. They put out a thing just today showing the percentage of a chance of where people might be picking in next year's draft. Right now, the Bears are slotted to pick number 1. They've got a 39% chance to hold on to that number 1 pick. The Giants are at number 2 and have a 38% right behind them of being the number 2 pick. And then, of course, the Cardinals after that. Patriots, it's a shocker to see them in the top 6. And then the Bears again. I don't know if that means the Bears are going to pick 1st and 5th. They'll be loading up with them. If that's the case, if the Bears pick 1st and 5th, that's 2 more players that are going to waste their careers in Chicago. And then coming in with the number 6 pick, according to the early analytics, the Green Bay Packers, and we have a 1% chance to stay in that spot. So obviously, even though we're at number 6 right now, they know Packers going to win some games and pick a little bit later in the draft. What do you think of all that nonsense?
I hate this stuff, man. Like you said, way too early analytics.
Way too early.
Like, who cares? Like, I'm not looking at draft picks until the draft. I really don't care. I hate it when teams purposely throw games to get the draft picks. I just despise that. I think I
don't think that even happens. I think fans want teams to tank, but I don't think they do it.
I don't want a team to tank. I don't want my team to ever throw games to get a pick. I really don't. Like, win the game. I don't care if it does not matter for the playoffs. You need to win this game to save any kind of face, and it needs to be that way. So this kind of stuff just bothers me. Like, I mean, these statistics, like, how do you even come up with a 1.2% chance? Like, come on.
Yeah. The only thing that caught my eye is that the Bears are in the top 5 twice. I'm like, what is going on?
I mean, if that's not enough reason for us to win more games than the Bears, I don't know what else is. Like, we can't surpass the Bears in any of those categories. But all right, well, moving on, dude. I want to tell you guys about my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider, which releases a new episode every week, and this week is no different. This Wednesday, we're releasing the latest where we're talking about puzzles in our favorite video games or even just puzzle games themselves. We're also talking about the big news this past week about Nintendo announcing a live-action movie based on the Legend of Zelda franchise. I'm a massive Legend of Zelda fan, so it's
true.
Crazy music to my ears. But you can hear my show at the same places you listen to this one, and you can also find our website at thegamingoutsider.com, and I would love it if you checked it out.
I believe you said thegamingoutsider.com.
I did, thegamingoutsider.com.
Nice. And regarding the Legend of Zelda, if there's any way that they're filming that in America, if you could get in as any level of an extra, this would be fantastic to watch.
I mean, I don't have any kind of resume that sports being an actor, so I would just have to go on my charming good looks, and that's not going to get us anywhere. Thanks for giving back to your Packers Fan Podcast via Patreon. We really appreciate it. Details for becoming a patron and other ways to support the PFP are all at PackersFanPodcast.com/giveback. Supporting the PFP at the legendary Aaron Rodgers level, Jay Walters. Thank you, and go Pack Go. And how about our Jordan Love level patron, Dan Dyler? Go Pack Goes, and thank you, sir.
Go Pack goes in many thanks to the classic Brett Favre level supporters like Colin Nolan in Ireland, Scott Bors, and Miguel Ramirez at the Opposites Attract podcast. And of course, Curly Lambeau level Go Pack goes and thank yous, Hank Davis from the TPE network of podcasts and Joe Christensen as well. Please check out all the details at PackersFanPodcast.com/giveback. The Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, at least at this point, but please tell your friends about the show. Let them know Wayne and Scott are looking forward to hearing them be part of the gang.
Also, if you'd like to follow us over on Twitter, also known as some random letter of the alphabet, you can follow us at Packers Fan Pod. You can follow me personally at GoCastScott, and you can follow Wayne at Wayne Henderson. And here's community members Joe Christensen and Dan Dyler with their Go Pack Goes to send out. Please remember to send in your Go Pack Goes to be added to the outro. With that, here's Joe and Dan to help us get another victory over yet another team from LA.
Go Pack, go!
Go, 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 Pack, go!